So today in our live video, so we are going to discuss about the 10th class second chapter polynomials. So here in last class we discussed about the definition of polynomial. So in this polynomials second chapter. So first one here say polynomials. Here we discuss a linear polynomial, this is the one, and the second one quadratic polynomial, and the third one is cubic polynomial. So in our CBSE syllabus, after change this one from state to CBSE, they removed this cubic polynomial. Just only one problem they have given about the cubic polynomial, that is also not important for the examination purpose. So here purely they asked now about linear polynomial, especially they asked clearly mentioned quadratic polynomial only. Okay, so here first before going to learn about this exercise, first we will learn about the what is the relation between the zeros and the coefficients of the linear polynomial and zeros and coefficients of the quadratic polynomial and zeros and coefficients of the cubic polynomial we will learn. Okay, so in the second chapter, so if we go through this one, second one, polynomials. In this polynomials chapter, first one, linear polynomial. In linear polynomials, first we can write this one, general form of linear polynomial is ax plus b. So for this, zero of linear polynomial of ax plus b is equal to minus b by a. Here see na, if it is plus b, then the zero of this polynomial is minus b by a. Okay, then similarly zero of linear polynomial of ax minus b, then it will get plus b by a. Okay, see for example 0 of 5x plus 2 is minus 2 by 5. See here plus 2 is there, minus 2 into divided by. So this is the 0 of the polynomial 5x plus 2. Okay, so in this method you can find the 0 of the linear polynomial simply. Okay, say for example 2 by 5x minus 2, this is the linear polynomial because of degree 1. Okay, so for this 0 of polynomial is 2, here we can write into 5 by 2. So 2 get cancelled, then we can write 5 by 2 is the 0 of this polynomial. So 0 of this polynomial means nothing but when we substitute that value in the place of variable. So if it is getting 0, then that is 0 of the polynomial. Now we will substitute 2 by 5 into 5 by 2 minus 2. Okay, 2 by 5 into 5, not 5 by 2, just 5. So 5 remaining 2 minus 2 we are writing, then we are getting 0. Then here 5 is the 0 of this polynomial. Okay, like this we can find the 0 of the linear polynomial. So what we learned here, general form of linear polynomial is ax plus b. So 0 of the linear polynomial ax plus b is minus b by a. 0 of the linear polynomial ax minus b is plus b by a. So here we saw example 5x plus 2, 0 of polynomial is minus 2 by 5. So 0 of the polynomial 2 by 5 x minus 2 is 5, just 5. Okay, so this way we can find the 0 of the polynomial of linear polynomial. Okay, now we can write, see what is the zero of the polynomial, zero of the quadratic polynomial. Now we'll see here, if we observe this one, quadratic polynomial, in quadratic polynomial, general form is, so we can write is short form of this QP. So general form of quadratic polynomial is ax square plus bx plus c. This is the general form of quadratic polynomial. Here degree is 2, that's why it is quadratic polynomial. Okay, so here in this one, how to find the zeros? See, there are two methods, by the factorization method or by using the quadratic formula method. See here, zeros of quadratic polynomial ax square plus bx plus c, or x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b square minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So here plus or minus we took here. So here in the place of minus b plus root of b square minus 4ac by 2a 10, and minus b minus root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a is another 0. Okay, so ఇక్కడ 2 zeros మనము ఈ ఫార్ములాని యూజ్ చేసుకొని మనం చేయొచ్చు అన్నమాట. ఓకే, సో ఇది జనరల్ ఫార్ములా. ఇందులో మనము b square minus 4ac, b square minus 4ac is discriminant. So we call this discriminant. So it will decide the nature of the roots or nature of the roots. So when we go to quadratic equations, okay, so we call this one, this is the formula to find the zeros of the quadratic polynomial. Okay, so in this one, these are the formulas. Next, here we can write this one, the relation between the zeros and the coefficients of the quadratic polynomial. See here, if alpha and beta are zeros of quadratic polynomial, then general form of quadratic polynomial is equal to k into x square minus of alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta. This is the general form. When alpha and beta are the zeros, any two zeros here, then the general form quadratic polynomial is k into minus of alpha plus beta into x plus alpha beta. This is the general form. Okay, now this is the general form of the quadratic polynomial when alpha beta are the zeros of the quadratic polynomial. See here alpha plus beta is equal to sum of zeros. Okay, and here see the condition is a is not equal to 0. This is the condition, don't forget that. Now alpha beta is equal to product of zeros. So this one. So like this we can find the quadratic polynomial when they are giving two zeros. When they are giving the two zeros, by using the two zeros we can find the quadratic polynomial by using this method. This one. Okay, so this one, so in the place of alpha plus beta, if you add the two zeros and that sum, if you write here, and the product of the two zeros, so if you multiply these two zeros, what is the product you are getting? That value if you substitute in this place, we can get the quadratic polynomial when they are giving the two zeros. Okay, this is the general formula to find the quadratic polynomial when they are giving the two zeros. Okay, now we will see what is the relation between the zeros and coefficients of the quadratic polynomial. Okay, now we'll see this. If alpha and beta are the two zeros, then we can write general form. Okay, this is also now once we'll see. Now here ax square plus bx plus c is a quadratic polynomial and a, b, c are coefficients, okay, and alpha beta are two zeros, then sum of zeros alpha plus beta is equal to minus b by a. This is the relation. And product of zeros alpha into beta is equal to c by a. This we can write as minus of coefficient of x by coefficient of x square. For this we can write constant term by coefficient of x square. So by using this formula we can find the relation between the zeros and the coefficient of quadratic polynomial. Okay, so this is the method. Now what is this relation between the zeros and coefficients of quadratic polynomial. Okay, so this is the relation mark. Is it clear? So now this is the one. So here in general form of quadratic polynomial is, so general form of quadratic polynomial is ax square plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0 and a, b, c are the coefficients of quadratic polynomial and alpha beta. This alpha beta are the two zeros of the quadratic polynomial. Then the relation between the zeros and the coefficients is sum of zeros alpha plus beta is equal to minus b by a. That is nothing but the coefficient of minus of coefficient of x divided by coefficient of x square. And product of zeros alpha into beta is equal to c by a. C is constant term by coefficient of x square. So by using this formula we can find the relation between the zeros and coefficients of the quadratic polynomial. Okay, this is the relation. Next, if we go to cubic polynomial, so we can say it is cubic polynomial. If we go to cubic polynomial, in cubic polynomial, general form of cubic polynomial is equal to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d, and condition is a is not equal to 0. And a, b, C, D are coefficients. These four are the coefficients in the cubic polynomial. Now, see here, relation we'll see, relation. See, if alpha, beta and gamma are three zeros, then relation between zeros and coefficients. See here, alpha plus beta plus gamma is equal to minus b by a. Okay, here what we can write? Minus of coefficient of x square by coefficient of x cube we can write. Okay, next alpha beta plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha is equal to c by a. Here we can write coefficient of x by coefficient of x cube. And here another one, product of zeros, alpha beta gamma is equal to here minus d by a. Here d is what? Constant by coefficient of x cube. So by using these formulas, we can find the relation between the zeros and the coefficients of the cubic polynomial. Now we discussed about the what is the general form of linear equation, linear polynomial, and so what is the zero of linear polynomial, that when it is plus between the constant and the x term, and when it is minus between the constant and x term. So we saw that one, we observed that clearly, we learned about that. And what is the general form of quadratic polynomial, we observed. So after that, general form of quadratic polynomial observed. So and relation between the zeros and coefficients of the quadratic polynomial we learned. Now we explained. And when it is alpha beta are the zeros of the quadratic polynomial, then how to write the quadratic polynomial by using that two zeros, we learned about that. And cubic polynomial, and what is the relation between the zeros and coefficients of the quadratic polynomial also we learned. And another one, cubic polynomial. In cubic polynomial, general form ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d is equal to 0, where condition is not equal to 0, we learn. And abc plus beta gamma plus gamma alpha is equal to c by a, and the product of zeros, alpha into beta into gamma is equal to minus d by a. So ఇక్కడ మనము ఈ రిలేషన్ బిట్వీన్ ది zeros and coefficients of cubic polynomial కూడా మనము ఇక్కడ నీట్ గా నేర్చుకోవడం జరిగింది అన్నమాట. ఓకే, now we will enter into the chapter. Okay, and two more points we learn here. What is the shape of the graph of linear polynomial, that we will see. Next, what is the shape of the quadratic polynomial graph, that we will see. Shape of linear polynomial. Shape of linear polynomial graph. Graph is straight line, and second, shape of quadratic polynomial graph is parabola. Okay, either in upwards or downwards or right side, left side, Okay, right direction and left direction it will come. Okay, this is the main important points. So linear polynomial graph is always straight line and quadratic polynomial graph is always parabola. So this is the upward or downward. Okay, so it is the one. If it is a axis one, so then it may be like this. Okay, it may be like this also. Is it clear? Without touching also it may go. See, like this or like this or like this also it will come. So if it is x-axis and y-axis, there may be a chance to get this like this one. Okay. Now this is about the graph of the linear polynomial and quadratic polynomial. Is it clear? Now we'll go to we'll see what is the one in chapter. See here, if you observe this, exercise 2.1, in the 2.1 exercise, see here, and one more thing we want to learn about this. See, if the graph, what is the graph you are drawing, if that graph is touching the x-axis, then that is having a 0. If graph is not touching the x-axis, if it is only touching the y-axis, then there is no zeros. Okay, so if it is having a 0, then it must touch the x-axis. At how many places the graph is touching the x-axis? So that all the places are zeros of the given polynomial. Okay, that is the important point, main important point. అంటే దాని మీనింగ్ ఏంటంటే ఎప్పుడైతే మనకు ఒక గ్రాఫ్ ఇస్తాడో ఆ గ్రాఫ్ ఇచ్చినప్పుడు ఆ గ్రాఫ్ మనం డ్రా చేసిన గ్రాఫ్ అనేది x యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేస్తేనే జీరో ఉన్నట్టు, x యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేయలేకపోతే దానికి జీరోస్ ఉండవు. ఓకే, ఆ పాలినామియల్ అనేది జీరోని కలిగి ఉండదు. ఇది మనకి మినిమం మాక్సిమం, ఇది very important basic point. Okay, now we will say in our exercise 2.1 they given, see these are the some graphs they given. In this one, how many number of zeros? See here, the graphs of y is equal to p of x are given in figure 2.10 below. For some polynomials p of x, find the number of zeros of p of x in each case. They are asking. Okay, now we'll see how many zeros for each. Now if we go to first one, in the first one the graph is not touching the x-axis, so for this no zeros. If it is touching, then only zeros. For this no zeros. And second one, the graph is touching at only one place, then we can write only 1 0. Okay, next here in third one, graph is touching the x-axis at 3 places, then it have 3 zeros. So by substituting 3 values we can get the 0 in this polynomial. Okay, now next we will go to this fourth one. In this at 2 places it is touching the x-axis, then it has 2 zeros. Okay, 2 zeros. It has 2 zeros. Now here if you go to fifth one, it is touching, this graph is touching the x-axis at 4 places, so for this 4 zeros it has 4 zeros. Next if you go to sixth one, it is touching the x-axis at 3 places, so for this also 3 zeros. సో ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ మనం అబ్జర్వ్ చేసింది ఏంటి, ఏం అబ్జర్వ్ చేసాం? సో ఇచ్చిన గ్రాఫ్ అనేది x యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేసిందా లేదా, టచ్ చేస్తే ఎన్ని ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేసింది, ఎన్ని ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేస్తే దానికి ఎన్ని జీరోస్ వస్తాయి. ఇది మనము ఇక్కడ నీట్ గా ఈ గ్రాఫ్స్ లో ఎక్సర్సైజ్ 2.1 ఇచ్చిన గ్రాఫ్ లో వాళ్ళు ఐడెంటిఫై చేయమన్నారు, చేస్తాం. సో ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటే ఫస్ట్ గ్రాఫ్ లో అసలు ఈ గ్రాఫ్ అనేది స్ట్రైట్ లైన్ అనేది x యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేయలేదు కాబట్టి దీనికి జీరోస్ అనేవి ఉండవు. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ సెకండ్ దీనికి వస్తే ఓన్లీ 1 ప్లేస్ లో మాత్రమే x యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేస్తుంది గ్రాఫ్, కాబట్టి దీనికి 1 0 ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ థర్డ్ గ్రాఫ్ కి వస్తే x యాక్సిస్ ని 3 ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి దానికి 3 zeros ఉంటాయి. నెక్స్ట్ ఫోర్త్ గ్రాఫ్ కి వస్తే x యాక్సిస్ ని 2 ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి దానికి 2 zeros ఉంటాయి. నెక్స్ట్ ఫిఫ్త్ డయాగ్రామ్ వస్తే, ఫిఫ్త్ గ్రాఫ్ వస్తే ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్ 4 ప్లేసెస్ టచ్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి దానికి 4 జీరోస్ ఉంటాయి. నెక్స్ట్ సిక్స్త్ వన్కి వస్తే ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్ ని 3 ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేస్తుంది కాబట్టి దాంట్లో కూడా 3 జీరోస్ ఉంటాయి. ఓకే, సో ఈ విధంగా మనము వాడు ఒక గ్రాఫ్ ఇచ్చేసి దానికి నంబర్ ఆఫ్ జీరోస్ ని ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయమన్నప్పుడు, ఐడెంటిఫై చేయమన్నప్పుడు మనం ఈ విధంగా నీట్ గా ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్ ని ఎన్ని ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేసిందో దాన్ని చూసుకొని అక్కడ ఎన్ని ప్లేసెస్ లో టచ్ చేసింటే దానికి ఆ గ్రాఫ్ కి ఆ పాలినామియల్ ఇచ్చిన పాలినామియల్ కి అన్ని జీరోస్ ఉంటాయనేసి మనము ఈజీగా చెప్పొచ్చు. ఓకేనా? సో బ్లైండ్ గా నేను ఒకటి చెప్పాను. సో ఎప్పుడైతే గ్రాఫ్ అనేది ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్ ని టచ్ చేస్తుందో ఆ ఎక్స్ యాక్సిస్ మనకు ఆ జీరోస్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ జీరోస్ మనము ఐడెంటిఫై చేయొచ్చు అన్నమాట. ఓకేనా? సో ఈ ఎక్సర్సైజ్ వరకు మనము ఈ రోజు వీడియోలో నేర్చుకోవడం జరిగింది. ప్రతి ఒక్కరూ కూడా ఇప్పుడు చెప్పిన నేను ఏం చెప్పానంటే మీకు ఉన్న మెయిన్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్, చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ చెప్పడం జరిగింది. ప్రతి ఒక్కరూ ఈ వీడియోని జాగ్రత్తగా చాలా కేర్ఫుల్ గా చూడండి. ఎందుకంటే పాలినామియల్ లో టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ పాలినామియల్స్ నుంచి తీసుకొని ఎన్ని జీరోస్ వస్తాయి, ఆ జీరోస్ లో రిలేషన్ బిట్వీన్ ది జీరోస్ అండ్ కోఎఫిషియెంట్స్ కూడా మనం చూసాం. కాబట్టి ప్రతి ఒక్కరు ఈ వీడియోని వాచ్ చేసి మిస్ కాకుండా నీట్ గా నేను చెప్పిన ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్స్ అన్ని కూడా నీట్ గా రాసుకొని ప్రతి ఒక్కరు బాగా ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యి దాన్ని ఆ ఫార్ములాస్ బేస్ చేసుకుని మనం ఎక్సర్సైజ్ 2.2 అనేది మనం చేస్తాం. కాబట్టి ప్రతి ఒక్కరు దీన్ని మిస్ చేయకుండా చూడండి. ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ.